Well, g'day everyone. I wanted to talk to you today about an amazing product that's just been sent out to me, some NDs that have a mist type filter built into them. There's also, the first ones I saw were the Peter McKinnon version 2 ones, and now Freewell have released one that does a similar thing. Before I did that though, I just wanted to say to people out there, I'd had a lot of comments asking about the spots on my head and things, and what it is, it's actually sunspots that have been burnt off, so don't panic. I had people saying, am I okay? They're fine. It's just one of the things with living in Australia. I get them dry iced off every so often, so they'll disappear in a few days. So what I wanted to talk to you about was these filters that have just been sent to me. Now, they're called the Variable ND X Mist filters. Now, I had previous ones that I did show in a video, and these were just the mist filters on their own. There's not a variable ND built in with these, and I have reviewed these previously, and I loved the look that they gave. And I'll sort of discuss this as we're going on. So one of the things that I do love about these type of filters now is it softens your image up. Now, I know people, there's two thoughts with this. A lot of people just want ultimate sharpness, and I can completely understand that you pay a lot of money for really great lenses and they're super, super sharp. But I believe now with videography, because I've started to use these filters, that it gives me a much nicer look, say for weddings and things like that. It gives me a more filmic type look, or cinematic, I suppose you could say. That if you look at movies that you can watch on TV, or you go out to the theatre, they tend to use these filters all the time, and you can see it by the glowing lights that sort of surround light globes and things like that. And also if you look at people and things like that, you get that nice soft skin type look as well. So depending on what you're after, I'm not saying these are for everyone, but I'm certainly going to be using these from now on in my weddings. And one of the things with them is that at the moment, the system that I've got means that you have to put a variable ND on and then put the filter on top of it. Now, why do you use an ND? Well, the reason why you use an ND is because you have to double your shutter speed. So say, for instance, you're doing 4K 50, well, then your shutter speed will be 100. Now, you do that to make it so that you've got smooth video. Yes, you can go outside of that and just crank your shutter if you want to, but you do notice if things are moving that it's not as smooth as, say, if you're just using that double your shutter speed. So what you have to do is you have to put an ND on, and you'd set your shutter speed at 100, and then you'd use your variable ND to make sure that your exposure was correct with either your zebras, and also histograms and things like that. So there's two ways that you can do this. Now, the original way that I went was I did buy the Peter McKinnon filters originally, and then I got sent the Freewell filters, which are here. And they're basically exactly the same. And I've done a review on this where, look, there's a fraction different color cast on the Freewell filters. I think the Peter McKinnon ones were a fraction better, but one slider in Final Cut and they both match. So I would say save your money and get the Freewell ones. Now, I am not, even though Freewell have sent these to me, they did not ask me to look at the review that I'm doing, didn't ask me to give a good review or a bad review or anything. All they did was send them out to me. And I really do like these. And in fact, these are the ones that I recommend due to the savings that you save. You save hundreds of dollars by going the Freewell way, and the quality really is just as good. So the way that I have always been working now is I have an ND that I'll screw on the front of the camera, but the problem was if you wanted to use the mist type filters, well, then you had to screw the mist filters onto the top of the ND. So it means that you had two of them, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Here is the mist filters, and there's a quarter and there's also a 1/8. So what you would do is you put the I've just got to take the magnet off. You grab the variable ND, then you would grab the mist filter and you just screw that onto the front of the lens, and then you'd have both working at the same time. Now, it's good sometimes to just have the mist, because if you want just the mist, or you don't want to, say, be using NDs, say, late in the evening or something like that, well, then you can just use the mist. So I think in some ways also having the mist is a really good thing. But if you're dealing with shooting during the day, sort of in the afternoon, or even with something like the A7S III, where you do have to crank up the ISO if you're using S-Log, for instance, where The 2 is 640. I'm talking about ISO. The 2 parts you should shoot for the cleanest ISO is 640 and then also 1280, 12,800. So having the ND and the mist filter sort of built together is a real advantage. So all you'd have to do is buy a kit that's like this. Now, if you find that you only shoot in certain conditions all the time, there's 2 different versions. Let me just show you what's available here. This is the Freewell website, and I'll put the links down with this and also Amazon down below. But there's 2 editions. There's a 2-5 and a 6-9. I think they're both the same price. Let me just check. Yeah, they are. They're both the same price. You can also buy a kit, which is both of them, which is what I just showed you a second ago, which is $219. So it just depends what you want. And then there's different filter sizes. So it goes from 58, 62, 67, 72, 77, and 82. I like the 67 because all the lenses that I use really are around that with the Tamron lenses. My G Master 24mm is also 67 as well. So I love the 67 filter size. If you wanted to, you could also get the largest size and then buy a step-up ring if you wanted to go that way as well. It says down here too that there's 18 layers of coating on these filters. It's got a built-in hard stop, and I'll show you what that means in a minute. Any chance of cross polarization and zero vignetting. Now, that's saying because of the hard stop. Also, it's saying there's zero vignetting above 16 millimeters. So if you've got a really wide angle lens, you may get some vignetting. That might be a reason why you could say buy a step-up ring and get a larger filter. That would stop that probably from happening. The 2-5 stop is an ND32, equivalent of just putting an ND32 on at its full enclosure. The 6-9 is equivalent to an ND64 when you close it up completely as well. And in the kit, you basically get the variable filter, hard case, lens cap, and a cleaning cloth. I've got both of them, which is the 2-5 and the 6-9 stop. And if you take them out, it will sort of show you on the side. It tells you what they are. It will sort of show you that this is the 2-5. So it shows you that on the filter. I'll see if I can put it close to the camera where you can see it. Now, the thing with these 2, this is the magnetic cover that you can stick on, which is great because they're just magnetic. They're quite hard to get off when you haven't got them on your lens, though, but they do really hold. But the way that these work is you just screw it onto the front of your camera. So I'll grab my camera here. And like I said, this is the G Master, which is the 67mm in size. And then all you do is you just turn the filter to the appropriate marking. Now, these have what they call like a click in. So the one thing I can say about the earlier filters that I had, the Freewell ones and some others that I've got, are completely smooth. And the problem is when you're doing it, you can easily knock them and then they move off. It's much nicer to have it where they click in because then you sort of feel it and it's locked on and then it doesn't move as easily. And I think that's a great thing. So it's a great system. And like I said, what this gives you is that ability to show some really soft type images that I'll go through with you now, and I'll sort of explain what I did. Now, I'm not saying they're beautiful videography, but what I've done here is I've tried to keep them on, even when it went very, very dark. Like I said, I probably wouldn't put these on when it was so dark. I'd probably just use the other filters that I've got from Freewell without the NDs on them during the evening. But I just wanted to sort of show you the effect that you can get from these. Okay, so we just started here walking around the lovely town of Ballarat. Now, you can sort of see the softness that this lens gives. This is sort of late in the evening, so we were sort of chasing light all the time. But I love this is the 1/8, and I love the look. You could almost leave the 1/8 on permanently. Again, you can see the lights there just have that little bit of flare coming out of them on the headlights. This is just Kerry walking towards me. Again, it's a lovely type of soft look that you're getting here. Again, we just did this in one of the corners that we found. It's a bit grungy and dirty, but we liked it. This one here, I just wanted to walk towards Kerry here, and you'll see when we do the next shot here, look at the lovely flare that you're getting from that light on the left-hand side there, and even on Kerry's hair. It sort of opens up the shadows a little bit too, which is great. So you get that benefit of having the shadows opening as well, and it gets this lovely softening of the skin that you saw on Kerry there too. Here, Kerry's just going to start walking towards me. Again, it's got that lovely sort of look that's very, very soft. And here I just asked Kerry to sit on this window as well. And again, it's the softening and everything that you're getting from this is just beautiful, I think. We then went to this alleyway, and you can sort of see the umbrellas that are hopping down through here. I changed the lens here to the 85. And again, I love that look. And again, I went back to the 24mm. Sort of looking up towards the lighting here is nice too, with the 1/8 on as well. Now this had the 1/4, and you can see the flaring that's coming across, which is really quite nice there on Kerry. And this was just an avenue here that we walked down that was getting very, very late, and you can see that lovely sort of light that these filters give you. In a minute, you'll see the car that turns around, and look at the flare there when the car turns around. And again, we were just walking towards this lovely old building here, and the light looks beautiful here. I had to expose for the highlight in all this case. You can see the flare there is beautiful, and this was the quarter. I had to really amp up the ISO here though, and again you'll see it in a minute when we look at another view here, which is really dark. I just exposed for the light, and I think this is nice too. I'm walking towards the sunset. Again, it just gives this nice flary look with all the lighting that's sort of around there, and I think the footage is really pleasing. These are around $100 odd cheaper than the other versions that are out there. Okay, so let me know what you think about them all. I mean, I love the look that you give them. Yes, there was a slight bit of grading put onto these as well, but the light sort of diffusion that you're getting and the softness is part from the filter and also the grading there. So it sort of matches in combination, and I get a lovely look. I'll probably use both filter systems. Like I will use the NDs with the Misty filter built in, and I'll also use just the Misty filters on their own if I don't need to have NDs. But at least it gives me that option now that I can use both and have a simple setup to work through that. I'll leave the links down below. Thank you so much, Freewell, for sending me these. If you have any questions, please put those down below as well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.